Hey everyone, I'm Brian, I'm 26. Today we're going to talk about hobbies, honest thoughts on hobbies as a mid-20s person. For starters, I want to say that most people that I've experienced in their mid-20s as an adult don't really have set hobbies. It might be my social circle because I don't really have hobbies, but I think most people aspire to have this, be a hobby person, whether you knit or bake cookies or have a side business or go work out, have a sport. Most people don't have hobbies. So I think don't feel bad about not having a set hobby. It's never too late to start a hobby. I think that's the punchline kicker. If you take nothing away from this video, if you're 23, 24, 25, and you've not really built up a hobby, it's okay, because most people don't really have set hobbies, and it's never too late to set a hobby. But it's very important to have a hobby, especially as you get older, because I think the time that you spend alone is getting greater, and the amount of money, hopefully, that you have is slightly increasing, and you're not really sure where to put this money at. And if you don't have a hobby, you feel a bit less fulfilled, I think, and it's because a lot of the things that you do are oriented toward your job. I assume if you're watching this video, you probably have 80% of your waking days working on your job. You get your paycheck and you're like, now what? What do I do with the job besides saving? I need a hobby to put this money into. And I think if you don't have that, it's not as fulfilling. And secondly, time that you spend alone grows as you get older. You don't really want to meet new people anymore. That laziness kicks in. I'm super extroverted. My Myers-Briggs is E. And I still, growingly, feel like I don't really want to meet new people, which means me sitting on this desk, talking to this camera, and time spent alone naturally grows, meaning that if you have a hobby to really invest yourself in, it feels great. So for me, what have I done? I grew up with no hobby. For context, I did not really play sport. I did play football in high school, but just to be cool. Was a bench warmer. I played tennis casually, took lessons, but wasn't phenomenal at it. I played golf during COVID, but whatever. Not really athletic. I like doing things I like doing, and I like doing things that I'm good at, which most people like to do. So you gotta kind of seek your hobby. Recently, at the recommendation of my girlfriend, shout out Claire, I took on drawing through Procreate and iPad. It's not a shill or an advertisement, but because I retraced and realized I was actually pretty good at drawing. I almost considered going to college for art a long time ago, and I was like, wait, this is something that I'm good at, because very cost efficient. I could buy this iPad and do this every single day. So I now would draw a new drawing every single day, which cost me, at the end of the day, just the iPad and the Procreate, total of $350, which gives me a year plus long of hobbies to do every single day on something that I like. I luckily had the talent of drawing, but it also allowed me to take lessons online, and this gave me something to do alone and also together with my partner, who also likes to draw. And I think that is the kicker here, where as you get older, as you look for a significant other, finding a hobby that you can do together with the significant other, also very important, because majority of time spent in your life is now going to be with them. Again, homing in on the fact that hobbies are important, not because you have to have a hobby, nor because you have nothing better to do, but more so because as you get older, spend time alone grows, and you want to be able to fulfill that time using the money and time, whatever you have left remaining, efficiently, and also feel good doing it without having to feel like work. Most of the time, I do feel like I should have done a sport. That is something that I not regret, but I do think about a lot. I think the friends that I have that have weekly soccer meetups, or even doing running and training for half marathons and such, I am a bit jealous of them, not in the sense that they're athletic and they look, muscular or whatever, but more because they have something to do, and it's an instant point of relation for people. I can't really go to art meetups where I go and draw together. I don't know if those communities really exist. I do work in the NFT space. I know that there's digital art communities, but it's not like an active collaboration effort where I draw something and I immediately hand it over to you and you draw something. I'm sure that exists, but not at a sport level where you instantly connect with people based on your skill, can go join a team and do tournaments and various different venues for being athletic and sportsy together. On that note, I do work out. I have a gym in my building and I go work out every day, but working out doesn't really feel like a hobby to me. It's just keeping shape and feeling less guilty about eating more. So I would make a very bold statement and say working out, not really a hobby. Hobby for me is something that doesn't really lead to a efficiency goal of instant efficiency of something that tangible returns, whether it be money or fitness or relationship building. I think hobby is something that you truly like doing because you like doing, and as someone that struggled to find that until recently, I think I highly encourage you to build that on when you're younger, but it's never too late to do it later. Everyone also goes through this influencer phase where they're content creation is my hobby. I think most people get out of it after the first, second try because one, they're so used to being instantly gratified that if they don't get that view count that they think they deserve, but they probably aren't going to with their 1 in a million eating account or 1 in a million drawing account that everyone else is doing, or the few people that are good at it have already taken off. The influencer phase is kind of interesting in this era, our generation who take on that as a hobby. For me, content creation obviously is a hobby, but sometimes there were times that it felt like work. There were times where I was like, damn, I'm not getting views. There are times where it feels like a chore and I go, I have to upload this video today, or I have to upload this video this week. Once you get to that point of like, I have to, I think it's no longer a hobby. It feels more like a chore or a dedicated effort, which is not what my definition of hobby is. I will name a couple things that I've seen happen a lot recently besides influencer path or that phase where you're trying to be a content creator. For people my age, pickleball I think is huge right now because it's a sport. A lot of people can pick it up. There's a lot of places in cities that have them. Even New York has giant venues that you play pickleball in. But most importantly, it's not that hard. The barrier to entry is not that hard, and you can pick it up relatively easily. I think those are things that hobbies kind of require to do, where a lot of people that I see that have pretty consistent hobbies do things that aren't necessarily difficult. You just have to get started in it, be consistent, and have some form of community around it that you can get feedback on, whether it be Lego building or pickleball, like I mentioned before, coin collecting, whatever it is. It's not necessarily the high barrier to entry in terms of money or time. It's just the fact that you do it and find interest in it. That's kind of my philosophy on hobbies. Photography is also something that I've seen a lot of people do in my age group as they get older. I think it's because people have the feeling that if you have a good enough camera and consistency of things to take pictures of, you feel good about it. It's kind of like a half-assed solution to content creation because you can just upload these pictures and people are like, whoa, you're so good at photography. When in reality, a lot of the cameras nowadays are very easy to use and make good pictures of. I could take decent pictures with the camera that I'm recording on right now. I also have seen people do board games and meetups within communities, kind of not as a hobby per se, but a social filler for the time you have remaining. That is all really to say that as a 26-year-old who enjoys hanging out and spending time with people, the value of that, I think, slowly declines as you get older. You feel like, what am I doing here if it's not for a significant other or if it's meeting an end goal of making more money? And maybe that's my hyper focus on efficiency. It's good to just enjoy time. But especially if you live in a city, it's hard to get together, have a venue or a house big enough to bring people together. So a lot of times you end up being by yourself and just sitting around. And to be honest, most of the time wasting time and just watching other people's hobbies. That's really what this video consumption, content consumption era is coming out to, is you are basically living vicariously and bystanding other people's hobbies. And I think that's a very toxic place to be, which ironically, I'm advising you, stop watching this video. You scrolling through YouTube or TikTok, wherever you're saying this, is not a hobby. This is a degradation and a dilution and a waste of your time. Stop doing this. Don't mistake this in your head for a hobby and find something else that you can do during that time. I think literally anything beyond that, I think, is slightly better than whatever this is. You can even sleep, I think, and it's better than content creation where you're falling into this depth of like, oh, I'm spending this time in a certain way, when in reality, you're just wasting it. I really advise you to find a hobby, especially if you're in your early 20s, so that as you get into your later 20s and can manage your job better, have a bit more free time to yourself, and find yourself alone most of the day. Make sure that that happens relatively quickly so that you can take advantage of that time and build up your hobby. I think hobbying is also a skill, and it gets better as you get older and as you pile into it. So the earlier you find it, the better. Takeaways, having a hobby is important. It's never too late to pick up something as a hobby. Sports are a great way, but if you didn't build it up when you're younger, don't be afraid to tackle it now, but don't also feel bad for not having it. Watching videos is definitely not a hobby. Get off of this thing. People take photography, pickleball, working out kind of as hobbies recently, and it's really important to do it with your partner if possible. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that you find a hobby beyond watching this video, and hope that you find some insights into your 20s through these videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Let's go.